Yeah, so as you're heading out this morning, it's a pretty gorgeous morning out there. Here's a live look towards Bernie Mountain. You see the sun is rising. You're still in shade over here, but you see the bright red field just beyond from the sunrise coloring it. And oh my goodness, look at this live look from alertwildfire.org. I feel like I'm glowing from this sunrise. What a gorgeous look. This is out of Falcon View camera looking towards where the mountain fire is at right now. So nothing on that camera. That's good news. As for the current temperatures right now in the valley, in the mid to low 70s for many of you. 74 out there in Redding, 73 in Chico. So we're just starting to heat up in the mid 50s out there in those mountain locations. We do have a heat advisory in effect for parts of Shasta County and Tehema County in the valley. That includes Redding, Anderson, Red Bluff, and Corning as well. So make sure to stay hydrated, wear light clothing, and try to stay in the shade if you can. If not, just stay indoors. And also look before you lock those car doors. As for your high temperatures today, as to be expected, some pretty extreme heat from this heat wave. 100-degree temperatures across the entire valley, all the way from Shasta County, even down there in Willows with a high of 100 degrees. As for those mountain locations, sitting in the mid-90s for many of you, even close to upper 90s in Trinity County, 99 for a high in Weaverville, 100 out there for a high in Hayfork. As for your futurecast, we have a high pressure system kind of sitting over us for today and tomorrow. That's going to be causing this heat wave that we're seeing. But notice on Wednesday, that kind of moves off to the desert southwest. As the low pressure system forms off to the west, that moves towards the North State. As it does so, it kicks the high pressure out of our area and drops our temperatures into the mid-90s and maybe even low 90s by your weekend and next week. As for today in the valley, lunch looking pretty warm in the 90s. Afternoon high, though, triple digits. We will have weak winds as well, which is good for fire danger but bad for relief from the heat. As for those foothill locations, lunch looking pretty warm as well, as are your afternoon highs. Even in the evening, we're still in the upper 80s out there in those foothill locations, and overnight mid-70s. As for those mountain locations, lunch is looking pretty warm as well in the mid-80s. Afternoon highs also in the 90s out there in those mountain locations. As for today in Chico, a high of 105 degrees, dropping to 103 on Tuesday. Then back in the 90s on Wednesday with a few clouds in the forecast. Once we get Friday, we approach the low 90s, and Saturday a high of 93 degrees. As for Redding, a high of 107 degrees today, rising to 108 degrees on Tuesday, so some pretty extreme heat out there for that. As we get to Wednesday, we go back to 102, and then we're back in the 90s for Thursday. As we get to the weekend, though, we do see highs back in the mid-90s.
All right, for all of you who have been